Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. In this, our June 25th, 2019 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including the latest episode of Krypton. We're going to be talking about San Diego Comic-Con, and we're going to be talking about Michael Rosenbaum's podcast. We're also going to be opening up... Yes. We're also going to be opening up the lines to you to take your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss, and to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show. Let me introduce you to my co-host. Don't know what he's laughing about, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Michael.
I'm just laughing about how not safe for work that John Glover interview was. It was amazing. But, you know, it's like if you watched Smallville and you're of a particular type of person, that probably... I wasn't shocked. It was just like, wow, they're getting kind of wrong. Anyways, WGBS Live is all about Superman, as we were talking about Smallville and stuff. And we want to hear from Superman fans that are watching us live on YouTube. So around the halfway mark, and if my voice holds out, and if we don't have too much on the docket, which I don't know about this week, because we got a lot to talk about, we're going to start taking your calls. To do this, you'll need Skype. Get on Skype, find Superman homepage, and message us that you'd like to be part of the show. Please message us first, because just calling kind of screws things up sometimes. And if we do happen to do this, and you do happen to get on the show, and you have like external speakers playing the sound right now, please turn those down as we are on a delay.
Yes, indeed. So get involved in tonight's show, and we want to, for those tuning in live via YouTube to watch tonight's show, we invite you to join in and chat with fellow watchers, fellow viewers, as the show goes on with your questions and comments. Michael and I will react to them as the show goes on, and we'll comment on them as is warranted. And a huge thank you to our sponsor and patron, Douglas Meacham. We appreciate your support. And if you want to support the Superman homepage, then head to patreon.com/Superman homepage. Well, Michael, no Superman shirt for you this week. You've just been like racing around today, and you're just going to like, as soon as we finish, you're going to just fall asleep in your chair.
Yeah, I'm going to be lucky if I don't fall asleep in the chair. This has been, and I complain about this every year. People who've listened to the live show and been with us for all these times know that this time of year is really busy for me. This has been the busiest of those seasons. I am killing myself at work, and everyone else is, so it's not like it's just me. So this week, it was just like I literally got home, ate something, came in here, got everything set up, and it's been crazy since then. So, my wife just brought me a drink.
Sorry about that. That's nice to get a drink. Actually, kind of change the screen as you're getting your drink, so we kind of like, it was like a segue. You just didn't even see that you're getting a drink.
Oh, very good.
Accidentally press something, and then yeah, but we do move on, and well, I hope that this show is like an hour of relaxation for you that allows you to kind of, you know, mellow a little bit and, you know, catch your breath.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think this is always fun. This is one of the highlights of my week. Cool.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. Well, we do start with movie news, and there is none. So we start with TV news. And, well, surprise, surprise. On the TV front, we have Krypton. The latest episode aired last Wednesday night, and it was called Ghost in the Fire. And our reviewer, Michael J. Petty, gave this episode a 4 out of 5. He's saying it just continues the momentum from the previous week, further expanding the world of Krypton. And a lot of people were surprised by Lobo's power set, not realizing they actually had that ability to regenerate or, you know, heal himself.
Yeah, that again, he was originally a parody of Wolverine, and that was Wolverine's one of his main powers. So the fact that he can regenerate isn't a surprise. But again, I think it just goes to prove, and there's really nothing wrong with this, obviously, but that, you know, people are being introduced to these characters for the first time So there's going to be kind of a learning curve, and I think it also proves that sometimes these characters are just weird, for lack of a better term. Like it's the Lori Lamaris effect. Years ago I was explaining to my wife that Lori Lamaris was Superman's mermaid girlfriend. Now I say that as if it's the most natural thing on the face of the planet. Like everybody had a mermaid girlfriend in college, right? That's when you experimented, right? And she looked at me, she's like, wait, are you kidding? I'm like, no, I'm not kidding. She's like, no, you're not punking me right now? And it just made me realize that what's normal to us and to the people that are in the game of comics is going to be really weird. So him regenerating, I could see that totally surprising somebody.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It was, it's one of those things that you just kind of, if you didn't know about it, it was, very much a surprise and a very well done special effect. Just commenting on one of the comments from John saying that Lobo said he was working for the main man. No, the main man is one of Lobo's nicknames. He listed, he ranted on about all the different nicknames. Some of them I think he's probably given him himself. But the main man is what Lobo is known as. It's one of his. It's actually the title of the two-part animated Superman the Animated Series episode where Lobo came into that world. The main man is his moniker, if you like.
Yeah, and I obviously think that's something he gave to himself.
Yes.
When done right, Lobo's a fun character. So I'm kind of glad that he's getting a more national exposure, even though he was on the animated series, like you said.
And in this episode, we learnt that, yes, Brainiac isn't gone. In fact, he is in some ways trying to take over Seg's body, or Seg's mind, if you like. And there's a internal battle going on between Seg and Brainiac. I didn't realize that. I guess I did, that Brainiac was able to do that, because in Season 1 he did that with the host that he took over, but I thought that there had to be some kind of physical kind of, takeover effect, rather than just maybe during the battle something happened there that we didn't see, that was off camera, where he started to insert himself into Seg in some way that, was... made Seg unaware of the fact that he was being transformed.
It's probably just plot expediency at this point. I mean,
yeah,
we just talked about the fact that there was a really great special effect associated with Lobo. That's where the money is going. So maybe just to kind of get things going and to keep the plot, running fast as it is, that they're just not talking about it. Or they forgot.
Yeah.
That's entirely possible, too.
No, well, maybe it's something to be revealed later on to see how that happened, a flashback of some kind. John also asking about Seg and Lyta's baby. Yes, as we saw in Season 1, they were bonded by her father. He was given a Zod surname, if you like, and made, because he was rankless at the time. And then they were... artificially, as it is on Krypton, a baby was made of the two of their DNA, and that is the baby that we're seeing General Zod now caring for, if you like. And what was the baby's name? Corvex?
Something like that.
Yeah. So I'm guessing if we look at the genealogy, is that Jor-El?
It's possible, because we know that Seg is Jor's father and Superman's grandfather. Or at least that's what we keep being told. And in the comics back in the Silver Age and Bronze Age, Jor-El's father was named Jor-El, because apparently he was Jor-El Jr., which is kind of weird.
But General Zod himself is Seg's child as well. So is he the it's like confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those things about doing these prequel shows that kind of throws everything into the mix, like up into the air. Is because now we're sitting here. I mean, I just saw you. You're like you need like a chart and a graph. And by next week,
red
you're
string.
gonna have like a billboard behind you, just with red string attached to everything, and you're gonna be just like you haven't slept and you're just pounding coffee. I don't even know if you drink coffee anymore. But yeah, it's just like one of those things where there is, I guess the overall thing here is there is no continuity anymore. It doesn't matter. Nothing really matters because of all these different versions of these characters that have popped up in the past 20 years. So now it's just kind of fun to figure out, okay, how does it work here?
Yeah. So Mike's saying, I'm forgetting General Zod is the son of Segel and Lyta Zod. But so is that baby. Isn't that Corvex, that child that he's holding from her? Wasn't that... Not Lyta Zod. What's her name? Nisa Vex.
Yeah.
That's the son.
Yeah.
So the baby, Corvex, is Nisa Vex and Seg's child. But General Zod is Segel and Lyta Zod's child from the future.
General Zod in this timeline is Superman's uncle?
I thought he was Superman's son. Oh, Superman's uncle, yes.
Yeah.
Or great uncle.
He'll be a Superman's uncle.
Maybe it's great uncle. Because Seg is not his father, it's his grandfather.
But General Zod is the son of Seg.
Yeah. So, yes, Uncle Zod.
Wow, that actually, you know what? That actually makes it cooler. I am totally for that, and I'll tell you why. It makes the battle that much more personal between the two of them, because now you're not just talking about the last son of Krypton and the son of Jor-El, the son of our jailer. His brother put him in the Phantom Zone.
Yes,
and that just adds like he considers himself the true son of Segel, where Jor-El is like the false son. So Superman is the false progeny, but Jor-El is the celebrated one. There's a lot that can be done here. There really is.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, really interesting and a little bit confusing, but maybe we will do a chart, a graph of some kind, and figure it out. Yeah, Venkman, I am so confused. Yeah, it's that. Anyway, we move on. What was his name in Welcome Back, Kotter? Remember that series? Played by
Epstein?
John Travolta.
Oh, what was his name? Barbarino. Vinny Barbarino.
I'm so confused.
Up your nose with a rubber hose.
Alright, now talking about Krypton, Cameron Cuff, who plays Segel, is a massive Superman fan, a big comic geek, and has, as much as he can, insert little Superman-related, in-jokes or tributes into Krypton episodes whenever he can. And in this latest one that we just saw, Ghosts in the Fire, he paid tribute to Henry Cavill in his role from Mission Impossible Fallout. Now I'm going to play a quick little video here of the scene and then see if you know what I'm talking about.
Not even close.
So there's the fight between him and Lobo, or the beginning of the fight between him and Lobo. Now, when it kind of looks like there that when Lobo says not even close, he's responding to the fact that he's trying to mimic what Henry Cavill did. And in that little clip alone, you could guess that, but it's actually part of a bigger conversation. And so his comment about not even close isn't about his arm reload, which is, as I said, a tribute to Henry Cavill in this little sequence there. Henry Cavill did that in the Mission Impossible Fallout, and that's a side-by-side of of Cameron Cuff's Segel doing that same movement as a tribute to Henry. And it was interesting that Lobo, in mispronouncing Segel's name, kept calling him Siegel.
Yeah. Maybe it was just the accent. No, I thought it was cute that he did that. I mean, it's just, I mean, obviously he's not quite as built as as Henry in that scene.
His moustache isn't as prominent.
Seeing that in the trailer and going, God, that man is just a mountain of muscle. But no, it's cool because, you know, Cameron Cuff is such a fan. You know, he's a great actor. He's doing great things with the performance that I've seen. But he just loves comic books, and he loves the minutia, and he loves that he's part of something like this. So it's kind of cool. You know, it's like Grant Gustin being such a fan of Superman that he almost blew the take of Tyler Hoechlin's shirt rip because he was there for it. You know, it's just like stuff like that. It's not a requirement, but it just kind of makes me smile.
Yes, it is nice. And if you caught it, you know, you knew it was, you know, what it was and where it was taken from. So it was cool to see, and Cameron Cuff and indeed the whole cast of Krypton are very prominent on Twitter and social media, and do respond. So if you're keen on the TV series, then check that out. So now we have the promo for tomorrow night's episode of Krypton, Wednesday, June 26th, 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific time. Here is the promo for episode 3, which is titled Will to Power, from season 2.
Welcome home, son of Krypton.
You gotta defeat a tyrant, free a planet, remember? No days off.
Just cut off my favorite limb.
You just cut off my favorite limb, he says. So yeah, pretty cool. Looking forward to this, and we do see, you know, more of Brainiac there. So more of Lobo, and it says here that in this episode, the Rebels gain advantage against General Zod as Seg goes head to head with Brainiac.
I just love the fact that these TV shows that have smaller budgets than the films can pull off the things that the film said they could never do. Like, you know, you can't do Brainiac. It would look silly. And here, Brainiac just looks comic book accurate and amazing. So yeah, it's just funny because it just proves that the any naysayer for Superman is just saying it because they don't want to do it. It's not that they can't. It's not that it's not possible. They don't want to do it.
So and it's being done. So, and these guys are big fans of the material and are just pumping everything in, and it's really, you know, cool to see things like Brainiac, Lobo, Doomsday. Even in this episode that we just watched, Doomsday, you know, is free and was ripping apart those skimmer, you know, spaceship things that you know, just ripping through them, and you know, you're only getting glimpses of him, but it's just the menace that you expect Doomsday to be. This beast of destruction.
Yeah, it's just, again, you know, I'm when they announced that Doomsday was going to be a part of it, I was like, well, that seems like a bit of a cheat. You know, it's an obvious thing, but if they're doing good things with it, then, you know, it's totally worth it. Like, especially, and I hope this is the case, if the creators of the comics, like Dan Jurgens and Brett Breeding and John Bogdano, are getting a cut of it, or whoever is like listed as the official creator is getting a check from this. That's even better.
Yeah, indeed. And speaking of Doomsday, and there was another promotion from Sci-Fi promoting Krypton Season 2 with this new online game called Doomsday Destroy. Now, this one kind of seemed pointless. I mean, I was fiddling with it, and I didn't really get it. I mean, you're going left and right to smash through the glass barrier. It's kind of pointless, really. I mean, there are people on the scoreboard and the leaderboard, you know, with pretty high scores, and just swiping left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right to bash through this Doomsday thing. I kind of was a bit, yeah, really not getting it.
Yeah, I'd be interested in playing it only because, you know, there have been some really good mobile games associated with shows and comics. Like the Injustice 2 mobile game continues to be a lot of fun. There recently, even though it's from the other side of the tracks, the Spider-Man Unlimited running game was probably the best version of that ever. You know, like that Temple Run type of game. Mainly because of the care that was put into it. But if it's just you swiping left and right, and you're just you're basically doing that old Atari thing where you're not trying to get anywhere in a game, you're just trying to get a high score, like on Space Invaders or Pac-Man or Galaga. I like Galaga. You know, it's just that man is playing Galaga. I get bored with those super quick, but apparently there are people that really like to play that game, so they have like a huge score on the leaderboard.
Now, additionally, this website that it's attached to has some wallpapers to download, and you can also watch trailers and full episodes of Krypton. So you just head to sci-fi.com/Krypton/Doomsday to get to that. And you can check out you know, these wallpapers while, you know, playing as Doomsday to smash through the screen to escape. But as I said, it kind of seemed a little bit pointless to me. But if that's something you enjoy and you just like mindlessly bashing away at your screen, then go for it.
Yeah, but like I said, some people really love playing those things.
Yeah. All right, and on the other side, moving away from Krypton, Supergirl has been nominated for a number of Teen Choice Awards. The Teen Choice Awards are now available for you to vote on, and Supergirl has been nominated for the Action TV Show category, while Melissa Benoist herself has been nominated in the Choice Action TV Actress category. And then John Cryer, who, as you know, played Lex Luthor in 3 episodes in the 4th season of Supergirl, also received a nomination for TV Villain. So you can vote on those categories. All you have to do is head to teenchoice.votenow.tv, and the Teen Choice Awards premiere on Fox in the US on Sunday, August 11th. So get to it, get involved in the Teen Choice Awards.
Yeah, my Twitter feed is just full of people trying to get you to vote. Vote for Melissa, vote for John Cryer. And,
Brandon Routh is getting a lot of support.
Yeah. And so, you know, it's not like I'm opposed to it. It's just like, wow, I'm going to be kind of glad when this is over.
I know what you mean. So, yeah, if you're interested, get involved in the Teen Choice Awards voting. Now, speaking of television, Warner Brothers Television sent out their complete schedule of what they're planning to do for Comic-Con 2019. It is Comic-Con's 50th year, and so they're rolling out the red carpet with 16 fan favourite series, heading to San Diego Comic-Con with panels and Q&As and screenings and new episodes and things like that. For Superman fans, there's nothing directly Superman related. Of course, there is Supergirl. There will be a Supergirl panel being held on Saturday, July 20th at 4:15 p.m. with a special video presentation and Q&A in Ballroom 20. If you're a fan of Titans, the series that's on DC Universe, the digital streaming service, that will also have a sneak peek preview and Q&A for the DC Universe service at 7 p.m. on that same Saturday. And there's Teen Titans Go is on the Thursday. There's a new episode and Q&A. DC Superhero Girls, new episode and screening on Friday, July 19th. And all the other panels are there up on our website from the press release if you're interested in checking out and you're actually going to be attending San Diego Comic-Con. Looks like there's a lot there to get through if you're a WBTV fan.
Yeah, it's I am actually looking forward to the next season of Titans, which are words strung together in a sentence that I thought I would never say in the order that I just put them in. So I'm kind of curious as to what they're going to do with Superboy more than anything else. But no, it's just, they're not doing any they're not doing any Hall H things
No,
this
they're not.
year, so
It's all TV.
Which I'm kind of glad for, because to me that suggests that they really are trying to go into like a rebuilding year almost. And they just announced, there's a new head of Warner Brothers. So what that means for anything is anyone's guess, because every time it seems like something changes, it doesn't go the way we want it to go. So.
And fans are already petitioning the new CEO for the Snyder Cut. Like, wow, wait 5 minutes for her to sit into a seat.
I'm going to tell you right now, there's a certain special prosecutor that is going before the House of Representatives later in July, and I swear to God, someone's going to be like, "What can you do to, and asking about all these things about obstruction?" Someone's going to go, "So can you release the Snyder Cut already? Because I really think you need to."
Crazy, isn't it? Oh, well. Yeah, also Young Justice Outsiders is part of that DC Universe panel that will take place there at Comic-Con. And, while DC and Warner Brothers don't have the movie side of things, nothing in Hall H this year, WBTV is, going hard with all those panels. DC Comics themselves will obviously be, having their stand or their booth there, and there's, I'm guessing a lot to come out of Comic-Con this year, as there always is. It's always a really busy time for news and merchandise and upcoming products and upcoming publications.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year. It's like one of those years that I'm really kind of excited to see what's coming out of DC Comics specifically for San Diego, just because I'm actually more interested in what's coming out in the Superman books. So it's kind of like the old days when the panels would happen and the news would come out, and you would sit there and just kind of get really excited. God, I guess I'm more tired than I thought. I keep repeating myself because I keep repeating myself. Anyways, yay San Diego.
Yeah, and we should have our usual reporter there covering events for us, so keep an eye on the website during Comic-Con in July for any Superman related news coming out of the convention. Now, you mentioned Titans, and we did see this kind of grainy photo that was posted on Twitter of what is reportedly the actor Joshua Orphan playing Superboy in the t-shirt and blue pants there. He will be in the second season of Titans. That's him on the right, by the way. The guy on the left is his name's Thomas Polito. He's the head writer at Geeks Worldwide. I don't know what he has in, how he got the photo or what his involvement is there, but he obviously got to go on set and took that photo and posted it on Twitter. And it's really the first image that we've seen of Joshua Orphan in the Superboy outfit.
That is the easiest costume ever to do.
Yeah. Screen
print a red S on a black t-shirt and put that guy in some jeans and some boots, and you're done. It's just like, this is the one costume that going to the thrift store, like they did with most of the others, actually kind of works in their advantage, because you can find everything there.
So it's it's not a hard outfit compared to some of the others that they've had to put together for this series. Probably no budget necessary at all for his costume.
So it looks good, though. I will say that.
So yeah, well, let's check out Titans when it is available on the DC Universe digital streaming service, or if you're not in the US, it is available on Netflix outside of the USA. So we will look forward to seeing more from Joshua Orpin and his role as Superboy on Titans. All right, we're just over the halfway point of tonight's program, so we're going to take a quick break, play some messages, and then come back on the flip side to talk comic books. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after these messages.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Coming from the farthest reaches of the universe to challenge the worst villains on Earth are the most powerful heroes ever in the Battle of the Superpowers Collection. Can it be the Supermobile on the attack? The Lexor 7 armed with kryptonite? Will the Supermobile repel those deadly rays?
You bet. Ready for battle. Activate RAM.
New from Kenner's Superpowers Collection. Vehicles and figures with power action, each sold separately. Flying lessons for Penguin. Fish bait for Luther. Can the Supermobile defeat the Lexor 7? You decide.
And we're back on WGBS TV Live, where, as Michael mentioned, you can get on and talk to us tonight if you wish. Use Skype, search for Superman Homepage, and send us a message, and we will attempt to get you on, and we will call you, don't call us. But as I said, we're going to be talking comic books. But before we do get into the comic book side of things, I mentioned at the top of the show that Michael Rosenbaum has a new series of podcast episodes available in which he chats with many of the creators and some of the cast members of Smallville. Now, obviously, Rosenbaum played Lex Luthor on the 10 seasons of Smallville, and I don't know if he was in all 10 seasons. He might have gone away for a little bit, but in episode 60 of his Inside of You podcast, he chats with Al Gough and Miles Miller, the creators of Krypton. No, not Krypton, of Smallville. Got Krypton on the brain. And he also then spoke with Kristen Kruk, John Glover, and most recently Tom Welling. And it's a series of 4 episodes available, episodes 60, 61, 62, and 63. And you can listen to the podcast on his website, Inside of You podcast website, or via the Apple Podcasts app. I haven't listened to any of these, but from the sound of things, you were getting involved on the John Glover one.
John Glover reveals somebody he had a liaison
yes,
with.
I saw that.
Will surprise you. The Alan Miles episode actually was my favorite. I mean, I like him talking to Tom because Tom Welling is so chill. Like he's just having a good time now. So it's just a joy. Kristen Kruk, it was kind of fascinating to hear where she was coming from on a lot of this and kind of have their dynamic. But Alan Miles, I wanted more in terms of behind the scenes stuff. I mean, they talked about the development of the show and, who they cast first and all that. The funniest part of it, and this is the only thing I'm going to spoil, the funniest part is when they start talking about the Freak of the Week thing, and Miles goes off on the fans that used the term Freak of the Week. He hated them referring to it like that. And we talked to Al like a couple years ago when Badlands, Into the Badlands started, and he was such a nice guy. Just seemed to really appreciate the fact that the homepage was one of the sites really promoting the show in the early days of the internet supporting a show. So, you know, it was neat hearing from him, but hearing from Miles, it seems like Al was more of like the person you wanted to talk to the public, and Miles is the one that has like the really angry opinions. But all these episodes of Rosenbaum Show are well worth listening to.
Yeah, so definitely go and check those out. Now, I'm reminded that, yes, I had them on the schedule. We should probably, before we get into the comic book side of things, do our regular monthly segments, the Super Secret Soundbite and the Big Question. Now, I want to say up front that we haven't got a lot of responses to these of late. So if you want to see these segments continue, then please get involved. Otherwise, if we don't get more than 1 or 2 respondents over the next month, then we will revisit the idea and maybe either tweak them or just scrap them all together. It's obviously in a live show not something that translates maybe necessarily well. People are not able to give their answers straight away. Maybe it's more of a podcast thing where people on the archived versions, you know, or when they're, you know, going to work or listening on their way to school or whatever, are more inclined to kind of get involved in these kinds of things. But yeah, if we don't get more responses to both the Big Question and the Super Secret Soundbite segments, which have been going for years and years before we went live, before we did, you know, the video stuff, it was all very much on the audio side of things, then, you know, we'll revisit the idea and do something different, or just scrap them all together, as I said. But let's start with the Big Question segment.
Let's start with the big question.
Alright, well, the big question from last month was, just finding the question, what did you think of Season 4 of Supergirl? We only had one respondent, and that was John Patrick Van Pelt, who is listening to us live right now. He said, I really enjoyed this season, but the problem I had was that the Red Daughter was in 10 episodes of 22 episodes in the season, and if I recalled, she was introduced in the Season 3 finale. Another thing I liked about this season is the crossover event and how Clark Kent Superman told Kara about how long he was going to be away for, 8 to 12 months, and living in Argo City. I love John Cryer's performance as Lex Luthor. Colonel Haley did an excellent job in the end in protecting Supergirl. Let's hope if they bring her back next season, she'll be on our side along with the DEO, and Alex can keep all of her memories of her sister. One thing I'm looking forward to is Supergirl's 100th episode. I can't wait to see how the CW does this in this upcoming crossover event. Crisis on Infinite Earths, and we're crossing over with all the other CW shows. So thank you, John, for your lengthy and well thought out reply.
Yeah, I think in this one, Kara's going to fall in love with somebody and then go back in time and prevent them from dying, but that's going to end up making Eliza die. I don't know. This is an elaborate Smallville 100th episode joke, and I apologize profusely for not
just got it
through. No, it's interesting though that we are coming up on another Superman show that's getting the 100th episode, and that's pretty cool.
Indeed. So we now look to the next big question, which is, and we've been talking about it tonight, what do you think of Lobo in Season 2 of Krypton? Get involved in the Big Questions segment of our show. Let us know your thoughts on Lobo, on how he's translated from the comic book pages to live action. What do you think of the actor playing him, Emmett Scanlon? All those kinds of things. Let us know what you think of Lobo on Krypton. Get involved in the Big Questions segment of our show. You'll find the feedback form underneath the Contact Us menu at the Superman homepage website. The link is also on our YouTube description there. So get involved in the Big Questions segment of our show and let us know what you think of Lobo on Krypton, and we will read out those answers when we come back to these segments at the end of July. So look forward to that. Also, let's move into the Super Secret Soundbite segment.
Only one thing alive with less than 4 legs can hear this frequency, Superman, and that's you.
Okay, well, the Super Secret Soundbite from last month came from the pilot episode of Krypton. Let's hear it again and see if you can recognize it.
You gave me that sunstone You told me to find this place and I did. Now my parents are dead.
It was pretty easy, yet nobody responded with an answer, or correct answer. And again, that's why I'm reiterating that if we don't get more responses to these segments, then we'll just ditch them or move on and do something else. But so for the maybe last time, or for next month, here is new sound from the Super Secret Soundbite. See if you can guess where in the world of Superman this sound comes from. Spooky one there. Who's screaming? What is she saying? Can you guess where in the world of Superman that sound comes from? If you do know where it comes from, or you think you know where it comes from, use the Super Secret Soundbite entry form found at the Superman homepage website under the Contact Us menu, and we will read out the names of everyone who guesses it right here in our last show of July. So get involved in the Super Secret Soundbite segment of our show. And they are the segments. We can push on. Do you have any ideas on that last one, Michael? You probably do.
I couldn't hear it, so I can't hear the things you play.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Because it's on YouTube and you're not doing the delay thing.
I just try to do a really good job of pretending like, yes. No, I'll listen to it when we're done.
So that's the Super Secret Soundbite and Big Question segments of our show. I forget that you're not listening to the live version that's going on YouTube, that we're just doing the Skype thing and you can't hear or see until it delays.
Right now are getting more out of it than I am. So,
but you're putting in more than they are.
Well, that's true, but still. I don't know, the chat's really lively tonight.
It is. It's really good. So let's move on to the comic book side of things, where DC Comics surprised a few people, I guess, in this big announcement that they're uniting all their publishing under one banner, just delineated by age groups, if you like, with a three-label structure. So there's DC Kids, which will focus on readers ages 8 to 12, DC, which is 13 plus, and that's the primary, comic book publication label, and then DC Black Label will focus on content appropriate for readers 17 years and older. That means Vertigo is gone, DC Ink is gone, DC Zoom is gone. Those have only been around for a couple of months that I could remember, but Vertigo has been around for a long time.
Yeah, it disappeared. It came back like a year ago. It's kind of fascinating watching all this happen, because one of the rumors is that the current head of DC Entertainment didn't like all the different labels. That it was more about focusing on the DC Comics name, and there's something to that. It's just Vertigo, when it became a thing in 1993, it was a really big deal because it was DC Comics saying that it was going to be trying these new mature readers comics, and in some cases mature meant that they could just do violence and nudity and bad language, but also explore themes that the mainstream books weren't or couldn't. So you had in the 90s Vertigo books exploring LGBTQ characters and racism and politics in a way that the mainstream books weren't going to do that. So it's a little sad to see that go, but I'm also kind of wondering, and it's easy for me to say because I wasn't like the huge devotee of Vertigo, but I'm also wondering if it's just, do things run their course, basically? Is it possible that it was this great thing for that time period, but it doesn't work as well today? And with DC having like 1,000 different like Zoom and all these others, I do think it kind of dilutes the brand a little bit. Because you could just launch something under a simple moniker like DC Kids, and you know what you're getting. That's the label, and that's where all of these young adult and stuff that's targeted towards a younger audience will be. Somebody must really like the term Black Label for them to keep that one.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of interesting that, and Mike Zumo, said it in the chat, from a marketing standpoint, this kind of makes sense. But it does take away from a line, specifically Vertigo, that was truly groundbreaking. So I kind of see both sides of this argument almost equally.
Yeah, well, it's a big announcement, and it's something that obviously, is going to change the landscape of what's happening there on the publishing side of things. And Vertigo has been around for a long time, and everything needs to change. And I guess it's the simplification of bringing everything back under just the one DC label, if you like, is probably a good idea. But you just changes. I mean, how until somebody else comes along in another 6 months and goes, you know what, we need another one. Bring back another one.
Well, I remember back when they announced the New 52, and it was this huge sea change. They're canceling all their titles, everything's starting over with #1. And then, like 6 months into it, it's like, we've got a bold new DC Comics logo.
Yeah.
And this was after they had changed the logo back in like the early 2000s, like 2004, 2005 was around that. Because apparently the old DC bullet couldn't be put on merchandise, which I think is suspicious, but whatever. And then, the New 52 kind of runs its course, and they're going into Rebirth, and they're like, well, we're going to have a new logo now. And it just seems like when DC Comics was not run like a typical entertainment company, you had things that lasted for a really long time. The DC Bullet logo lasted from like the early 80s until like 2004. So you're talking like over 20 years of this being their logo, right? And it seems like once they went away and went from being DC Comics to DC Entertainment, now it seems like everything is constantly in flux. And that's a perception. That might not be the reality. But it's just really strange that it seems like just to keep themselves fresh, they're constantly announcing these new initiatives. And then, like you said, on some of these, they just started them, and it's like, nope, we're not doing that anymore. And I really wish, and maybe I need to start doing this, and this isn't anything against Dan DiDio personally, I really want to get all of the press releases that announce these changes to see how similar the language is in every single one of them. Because it always seems like he's like, we're going in a new direction, and we're just trying to keep fresh in the marketplace. It's really important that we do this. We have the best characters out there, and this is just what we need to do right now until 6 months from now when we change our minds.
You sound exactly like him.
I've been working on the DiDio impersonation for years now.
But, I mean, it makes sense, obviously. Vertigo doesn't really explain to anybody who's not in the comic book industry what that means. As Mike in the comments says, it's a sickness, when you're off balance. But Black Label does give that indication that it's for a mature audience, it's and DC Kids speaks for itself. So I guess it does make sense, but I guess it's one that a lot of people didn't see coming, considering the DC Zoom and DC Inc. Publication labels, if you like, were only announced not that long ago. And I think your dog agrees.
Yeah, my dogs agree completely.
Yeah.
They were big fans of Vertigo, surprisingly, especially Gracie. She loves Sandman. It was really weird.
There you go. So now we're looking at, before we go into what's available this week in the world of comic books, the big one came out this past week, and it was a big one if you're buying the actual print edition. Superman Year 1, #1 came out. Now it's one of 3. Frank Miller, John Romita Jr. There was a lot of, negativity surrounding this when it was announced. But I'm with you. You spoke about it last week, having received the preview advanced version. I really enjoyed this. I mean, there were some parts that were questionable, and some people took exception to that Lana Lang scene where it was indicated what was supposedly going to happen to her. I guess that was kind of read into it how far that was going to go for yourself, but I quite enjoyed this. Artwork aside, I didn't think it was that bad, the artwork. I mean, I prefer a different artist, but it was a pretty lengthy and straightforward read.
The best thing about this version of the origin, and there are some problems because there's a line of dialogue early on that makes it seem that somehow baby Kal-El was controlling Jonathan to take him home. There's like but it's really throwaway. I didn't even notice it at first. But the best thing about this is that after like years, and I'm not even exaggerating on that, after years of having the origin show how alienated Clark was in high school, you know, when you go to like Secret Origin, or you go to Earth 1, or even, you know, or the New 52, or Man of Steel, it just seemed to like to focus on the fact that this kid was just miserable and just, you know, always trying to find himself and, you know, trying to, you know, find his way in the world. And this series, I think, does the most elegant thing possible, where it's just like, well, if he's a weirdo, he's going to hang out with the other weirdos, and by hanging out with that crew, he is going to gain an appreciation for taking care of the little guy. And it was just the way Miller wrote it, of him having these friends that are getting picked on by this certain group of people, him doing something about it, and that making it worse, and then him finally having enough and just, you know, really taking care of the situation. I thought that was a better way of showing how he becomes Superman than having him be a miserable, lonely, alienated teenager.
I agree.
And I think that's why I liked it so much.
I really related to Clark hanging out with these other outcasts. You know, I thought it was such... I mean, that's what happens. That's what, you know, whether you're an arty kind of person, or you're a geeky kind of person, or you're just not a jock, or you're not one of the mainstream kids at school, you gravitate towards the other outcasts or the other loners. And it was an eclectic group of people that he shared, you know, the lunchroom with, that he hung out with. And it really resonated with me. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I thought, we haven't seen that before, really, and that was so simple, but yet so effective.
Yeah, and I loved that they managed to have him be a football player, and he only really shows off once to show that he can do it, and that was enough for him. And it's just like, of all people, Frank Miller is the guy that I'm like, wow, he really gets young Clark Kent. Like, if you would have told me a year ago that would have been my opinion, I would have called you a liar. But here is Miller, who a certain director of a certain movie called Man of Steel seems to kind of worship at the feet at, in terms of comic books, just did a complete 180 from what was done in that film. And I'm not mocking or saying Man of Steel isn't valid. That's a valid interpretation of the character. It's just not an interpretation that I really want to embrace. This is one where I was just like, I really like this kid. I loved how Jonathan and Martha were just, you know, just guided him. And Martha's just like, violence never solves anything. And Jonathan to the side is like, look, you know, sometimes your mom's not always right. And when Clark stood up for them, I was just like, this is great. This shows you how, again, how a kid that is different from everybody else, his entire worldview is formulated by watching the outcasts and these kids who aren't doing anything wrong getting picked on by the popular people. This is pure distilled Superman from the Golden Age up until today, and I'm kind of interested to see where the rest of this series goes. Yeah,
I am too, and it's only 2 more issues, but they are bumper issues, because there is a long read. Like, I was going, wow, how many pages is this thing? This just continues.
Yeah, I think the funny thing about digital comics is it completely ruins your perception about how long a story is.
Exactly, you've got no concept of,
Yeah, So I'm just going up, and I'm just like, okay. At some point, this thing's gotta end.
It was that was a nice side of it, that you just didn't know when the last page was. You just kept going and going and going. So I'm really looking forward to the second issue, which will come out in is it a month or is it twice? Like, I think it's monthly.
Yeah, it's monthly, and to the point of the thing with Lana, I totally get why people are upset about that. I was upset about it because I thought it was a throwback to an earlier type of storytelling that doesn't have a place in society anymore. But if you're gonna throw out this entire issue because of that scene, I get it, but I think you're kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and you're kind of missing the overall idea.
Yeah.
But it's completely questionable, and I really wish he hadn't done it.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, well, we'll look ahead to this week and see what's coming out in the world of Superman for comic book readers. And there is Action Comics 1012 out this week. And that is a really cool cover there. And that is also available in this awesome... oops, turned off the wrong one. That is also available in this variant cover. Yes, the red eyes of red anger, or the angry eyes of red anger, whatever it is that is the term, is there in this one, but still a very cool variant image. Also, I think it's Superman related, and the image on the cover definitely is. Dial H for Hero number 4 is out this week. I think Superman makes a cameo appearance in this. Also out this week is the trade paperback version of Brian Michael Bendis's The Man of Steel. That is out this week. And also, even though I don't have the cover for it, out this week is a second printing of Superman Leviathan Rising Special number 1. And that is what is out this week for comic book readers.
That S on that variant cover with the angry red eyes of anger is very, like, first episode of Lois and Clark S.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
There it is right there. Yeah, very much so. The yellows are very diminished in this. Cool.
So, looks like a good group of books.
Yeah.
It really does.
So that is what is out this week for comic book readers, and that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's program. But before we do sign off, I'd like to thank everyone for watching tonight's episode of WGBS TV Live. I want to thank everyone in the YouTube comments for your participation in the show. A lot of great discussions going on there, and a lot of good debate on all the topics that we've been discussing. So thank you for your input. And a big thank you to you, my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Thank you, Michael.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
Now, a huge thank you to our sponsor and patron, Douglas Meacham. Now, if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, as I said, all you have to do is head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, where you too can sponsor the website for as little as $3. We appreciate your support. The complete 1-hour video of tonight's show will remain available on the Superman homepage website and our YouTube channel if you'd like to watch it back or perhaps miss part of the show. But we'll be back next week on Tuesday, July 2nd at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. We look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.